That's a nice jacket. I've got one like that.
I'm cold. And I didn't anticipate it being this cold to be in a church.
It's the 20th of December. How warm do you expect it to be?
In an old church.
Well, yeah, this is it. The worst places in the world for electrics are pubs and churches. One is warm and welcoming, and I like to spend a lot of time in. The other's a church.
Are you saying you don't go to church, David?
A church with a dodgy light. We expected more of a fault here, but there isn't one. We're just going to change a light bulb, so it's going to be a video to nothing really, isn't it? You're going to watch us change a light bulb in a church.
How many electricians does it take to change a light bulb?
I reckon 5. One to hold the bulb and the other 4 to rotate the step ladder. But we've only got 2 here. It's at a bit of height, so we're going to have to use Nigel's ladder, which he rather foolishly never took off the van. So, yes, changing a light bulb. What they're going to do here is, this is going to be their nativity spot. This is not the first time we've had to do this job at this particular church. What happens is we get to this time of year, and like I say, it is almost the Christmas, the Xmas. And they like to put on this little nativity scene for the local kids. Brainwash you into our religion, children. They like to stick the Baby Cheesus in this spot here and illuminate him. There's a point where they say, "Let there be light," and then they turn on a halogen flood. You think that they'd simply pray for the light to come and it would appear, but no. They rely on 20th century technology, which we're going to bring into the 21st century in our heathen way.
Covered up the ladder.
Are you still cold? You're wearing my nice warm
I
fleecy
know
thing. What we're going to do is, because this has happened before, we're going to not put in a halogen replacement, because otherwise I'll be back in 2 years on another panicked pre-Christmas call going, "We can't light up the Baby Cheesus, come and change our light bulb again." And it means getting this fecking ladder off the van every time. So we're going to put in a R7S 118mm Fusion LED lamp. I put a 2-year warranty on anything I put in anyway, so if this fails in the next 2 years, it'll be me scooting up the ladder for free. It won't be free today though. They can pray for a reduced invoice, which they ain't gonna get. So we're going to stuff this in, and well, the Cheesus will once again be illuminated. I'm sorry if you're offended and you're religious and that sort of stuff, but heathens we are. You take the camera if you will, Linda. Sure. We did get here and we were worried that there was actually no power to this thing. The feed for it goes through this wall here, so almost have had a hell of a job drilling that through. That is a thick wall. And then it disappears right off up into the roof. So this ladder probably would have got us up there. I'm not a huge fan of heights, so I wouldn't have wanted to have particularly scooted up there to investigate. But thankfully, it appears to just be a duff light bulb. Linda, would you like to be the flicker of the switch? That didn't work, did it? And that's fine. That's fine. I'll tell you why that's fine. Because the R7S fitting is a pain in the arse. It should be called R7S, not R7S. Because it's this spring-loaded, damnable little thing that you've got to get both contacts in just the right place. If it's been heat damaged, you might find the contacts are damaged. But if it's in right, there should be a left to right spring to the thing. Are you feeling the spring, Linda? My dick spring doesn't work as well as it used to. Right, yeah, okay, flick. Give us a flick. There we go. Oh, the lumen output of that LED lamp is nothing like the halogen. And that's kind of a bit weird, because I don't know why they sort of ban the halogen linear lamps. I understand them banning the downlights, the GU10s, MR16 sort of style fittings, your 12-volt dichroic, etc. Because, yeah, they're energy gobblers, they don't last very long. But for something like this, where you need proper task lighting, you're not going to get the same light output out of an LED. So you're sort of faced with changing the whole luminaire, which again is wasteful, really. But this may be enough. I'm going to have to confirm with the client and say, look, we've put an LED lamp in there. That'll be good for...
It's better than nothing.
Yeah, you know, that'll do you for Goodness knows how long. Whether it's enough to light up the Baby Cheesus, well, we just don't know, do we? Because come Christmas Eve, I won't be here. I should be in a drunken stupor with probably wet underpants somewhere that's not going to offend the faithful. Should we have a look at the electrics at this church? Let's do that, shall we? We've got a Christmas tree, that's nice. This isn't the worst place in the world, actually. I've seen many a church a lot worse than this. We've got a Hager board. They've got an RCD as the main switch. That's obviously been retrofitted. You know, I think I retrofitted that a few years ago. It's a Type A. And I think that was, I can't remember if I did it or not, but there was something we did here, Nigel and I. I may be wrong. I might be talking out my arse. I really can't remember what I've done here. But I know I've had this board apart before. Let me just butt in to interrupt my handsome self right here, and before you haters all start banging out bad-mouthed comments with caps lock switched on, because what I missed while filming on this cold winter's day, and which some of you bastards will have spotted, is that this is not a Hager board, but an MK that someone has more recently wanged Hager hardware into. That's certainly not something I would have done, as MK gear is readily available around here, so I've no need to be cobbling non-type tested tech together. I later looked up my records while editing this footage and found that Nigel and I had indeed previously pulled that board apart, coincidentally almost exactly 3 years ago to the day, as we'd been called in following a trip of that RCD, which had knocked out all power in the middle of some kumbayaring, testifying or praise being, and which the power of prayer had seemingly been unable to restore when it happened. If we grab a fork from out of the cutlery drawer and use it to pick the sweet corn out of my log here, it seems at the time we remarked Hager hardware had been hauled into a 90s MK enclosure, and we took baseline insulation readings for the live cores of all individual circuits with respect to earth. Also noting that breaker 5 has 2 independent radials attached to it, making 8 circuits hanging off this 7-way board. The lowest readings were on circuits 2, 5A and 6, a mixture of lighting, socket outlets and heating, but they were still of a high enough value that there was no smoking gun to explain an RCD trip event. Regulation 643.3.2 of BS 7671 permits insulation resistance as low as 1 megaohm for these circuits, and the lowest we saw was 9.37 megaohm on circuit 6, so everything passed on the day we were poking around. But then the RCD also wasn't tripping on that day, so for all we know, the problem was perhaps a particular parishioner's plugged-in powered prayer paraphernalia, probably not passed a PAT test and pulled out preceding our presence. You'll observe that for each IR reading below 500 million ohms, the reciprocal has been recorded in brackets on the job ticket, which vomits up 2 questions. 1. What's a reciprocal? And 2. What the fuck are we doing by finding it? Now, mathematics has always scared the piss out of me, and I didn't fare too well at it back at school or college many eons ago. I was far too busy in the pre-internet days of my youth making innovative sex toys out of whatever materials were immediately to hand and within the budget of my meagre pocket money allowance, rather than studying the mechanics of maths. So I'll answer those 2 questions here as best I can. The reciprocal is the number our measured IR value would have to be multiplied by for it to equal 1. To find it on a scientific calculator, punch in the measured IR value, let's use the 61.1 megaohm of our first circuit as an example, and then press the x to the minus 1 button, which gives us a result here of 0.0163. On a normal calculator, simply type in 1 divided by the IR value to obtain the same result. Because it's a division operation, a reciprocal will always be inversely proportional to the original number, so the lower our measured insulation resistance, the higher our reciprocal value. As for the question of why we need these additional nauseating numbers, well, we know that all 8 of our circuits share an upfront RCD, yet only one of these circuits, circuit 4, reads off-scale for insulation resistance. The other circuits each pass under BS 7671 to varying degrees that our tester of the day could measure. I've also discounted circuit 7 because, although not off-scale, its IR is so high that its reciprocal would be minuscule, less than 0.002 in fact, but the rest of these pass but not off-scale readings will have a cumulative effect as seen by our RCD because of how resistances in parallel work. Which brings me on to how resistances in parallel work.
The rule here is that the resultant insulation resistance, when all readings are taken into account, will be lower than any individual circuit's IR reading. We know our lowest recorded resistance for insulating materials was on circuit 6 at 9.37 megaohm, which is still quite high, relatively speaking, but when that's combined with the less than perfect readings of all its neighbouring circuits, our RCD will be seeing something even lower than that. We can do the arithmetic as follows. If we add together the reciprocals of each measured insulation resistance reading, then take the reciprocal of the result, we get just 2.51 megaohm. Again, I've omitted calculations for circuits 4 and 7 because their insulation resistance was so high, each in the hundreds of millions of ohms, that they wouldn't have any significant effect on the outcome. We can see that even though circuit 6 had the lowest IR on the day at 9.37 megaohm, the resultant number our upfront RCD was actually squaring up to was a mere 2.51 megaohm. If we go back to regulation 643.3.2 and abbreviate its wording for clarity, it states the insulation resistance measured shall be considered satisfactory if the switchboard and each distribution circuit, with all its final circuits connected but with current using equipment disconnected, has an insulation resistance not less than the appropriate value given in table 64. And if we look at table 64, that's what gives us our 1 megaohm minimum value. So despite what our individual circuit readings are, the upfront RCD of this board should be seeing 1 megaohm as a minimum to comply with 643.3.2. And at the time of our testing, it was. But again, the RCD wasn't tripping off on the day we were there.
We can determine from this that it wouldn't take much of a dip in the IR of one or more individual circuits for this whole board to bob below that minimum requirement. And any circuit experiencing a drop in the resistance of its insulation will allow an increase in leakage current to occur. One or more circuits, each contributing to an overall leakage somewhere in the 16 to 30 milliamp range, will cause the RCD to clock off as designed.
My job log also shows we recommended reconfiguring this board to RCBO so that a leakage fault on any given circuit would only take out that circuit and not the whole bally lot, but that was declined and the job was closed off. We haven't been back for any further RCD trip events, so I presume none such have happened, which again may mean it was down to a one-off event, such as an appliance that was plugged in at the time and which has since been removed.
Anyway, that's all an aside to the main event, which, if you'll recall, was the changing of a light bulb. So let's get back to the action to see how Drunk and Drunker here get on.
You're eating into our pub time.
Yes, we need to clear this day off so that we can
Go to the pub.
get stinking
Right.
by drinking.
Enough waffling. Let's go.
Jingle bell, jingle bell rock.
Shut up. Had quite enough of you.
You don't like my carol singing?
It's Friday
Is it carol?
today. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
Last day of work.
The client has given us the AOK on the lumen output. He says that, well, if you would like to represent the role of Mary
Baby
and or
Jesus.
Joseph.
Which
No,
one?
he was saying
Baby
Mary and
one.
Joseph stand there, and the halogen light they found too blinding normally in previous years, so he's quite happy with the lower lumen output. That's only 9 watts in energy gobbling instead of 500, so you expect a payoff, a reduction in light output for your saving, but you know, they won't have to worry about that for years now, and their nativity can proceed, and it's my warranty if I need to come back.
Do I look virginal enough?
No, I'm afraid that we have probably outstayed our welcome here, and we need to go before we get smitten or smited or smote, whatever it is.
Something like that.
I can feel myself starting to spontaneously combust already, so let's pack the ladders away and get the heck out of here. A few quick coffee shouts to throw out there. One thing I want to address actually before I do the coffee shouts, the term light bulb has been used a lot in this presentation, and there is always somebody who pops in the comments to say, we call them lamps, electricians call them lamps. We don't use the term bulb. Bulb is something that grows in the ground. Absolute poppycock. Light bulb is a perfectly valid and recognised term for, well, a lamp. So let's not pretend that it doesn't exist. Let's not pretend that electricians don't say it and that anybody who does say it is some kind of rank amateur and not in the trade or not in the know, actually, because it's an absolute load of nonsense. Light bulb is perfectly valid. I won't entertain anybody telling me otherwise. Call them lamps if you want, but there's nothing wrong with the term light bulb. You'll find there's a dictionary definition for the feckin' thing. Anyway, let's read out some names. Starting with Barry Khan, who is a promotion to Horn. I hope I'm saying your name right there, Barry. Thanks for another great test rig video, much appreciated. Well, thank you for tuning in and, well, making another contribution. Very kind of you. The Whore, that is Jay Sargent. Love a test rig build. Top draw, mate. Oh, jolly good, Jay. Nice to have you here again. I missed a trick, I suppose, in that Aliens video because I should have used you as Sergeant. Never mind. The Virgin, that is Peter Bryant. You're the best electrician on YouTube, says Peter Bryant. I suspect that he's got me confused with one of the more successful channels, or one of the prettier chaps, or chapettes, or somebody. He's got to be confused with somebody. The Virgin, Great Edge Limited, excellent test riggery and such. I don't know what Great Edge Limited do. I should look that up, shouldn't I? What do they do? Who knows? Look it up and let me know. But thank you for your contribution, Great Edge Limited. Whomever you are, wherever you are, and whatever it is you do. The Virgin, I'm honoured here. Alan Chan, for the Show in Our New testing video, yes. On the Show on Our New channel, there is some how-to stuff for their tester that was demonstrated on a test rig Linda and I threw in for them. Quite good fun, that. Great meeting you to Lex Coventry, said Alan Chan. Yes, it was great to meet you as well, Alan. I'm sorry I was so drunk, as was Linda. Don't remember much about the evening, but we must get together again sometime. Alan is very active in the ESK WhatsApp group, where you don't have to be a Spark to be a member. You can be in training or such. Don't feel like, just because it's called Elite Sparky Crew with a K, that you're not welcome to join, because you certainly are. I'm not sure how you join. There's probably some link somewhere that I haven't got. But I'm sure you can find it if you need to. So if you're in training and you want to throw ideas around with some other minds, then that's where you'll find us. Superwanks, only one to read out. Cash Pots, who is a Blue Virgin. Thank you very much for your contribution, Cash Pots. And one special mention for this one, which would be Andy Curl, who very generously sent me a bottle of rather expensive whiskey, which is probably wasted on me because I normally just drink blended own brand store piss water mixed in with roller cola. I'm on the spiced rum tonight with flat cola. That's what kind of an animal I am. But thank you very much, Andy Curl. He's also sent me about half a kilometre of crenulated grommet strip, so I've no excuse for ever running out of grommet strip ever again. Anyway, I hope this one wasn't too sacrilegious for you. Catch you on the next one, which hopefully will be out quite soon, which shows us not fixing a fault in a basement, unless I think of something else to record first. See you in 25.